Oh, Watford must be sick of the sight of Southampton. My goodness me. Every time. Aaron, thank you for coming back on this week's Watford View. I wouldn't have been surprised if you said, I'm not talking about the game this week. You must have been so deflated. How did you see it?
So deflated. I was genuinely, I was sort of lost for words leaving the stadium. Look, I'll leave decisions for a moment. I actually think we put in a really good performance. I think what we actually saw was the first sort of 15, 20 minutes was a Valerian Ishmael Watford start where we generally capitulated and had no idea what we were doing. The first goal was sort of unfortunate with the deflected ball into the box, but again, you got to be picking up your markers. And then the second goal is a bit calamitous. Porteous, he was playing right back for the game, so I wouldn't put it on him too much, but he got beat really easy, and then we have the chance to clear the ball in the box, and Deli Bastru makes a hash of it. And yeah, when we were 2-0 down at that point, I thought this could be a long day. But no, I think straight after the goal, almost we sort of went, all right, get our acting gear a bit, and I thought for the rest of the game we were probably the better team.
Can we talk about that decision at the end? I mean, first of all, let's talk about how the timing of the goal was. We didn't see the 45 minutes, but was there anything that warranted that amount of time being added on?
And this is the thing, no, absolutely not. When they said 7 minutes, I thought, where on earth have they pulled that from? We scored two goals. No, one goal, sorry. One goal. A few injuries. No one stayed down that long and a couple cards. I think the rule is like 30 seconds for a goal and then injuries and cards are timed on the stopwatch. There's no way that equated to 7 minutes, but fair enough. I'm not going to complain about him going overtime because the rule is it is a minimum of 7 minutes. So, within the laws of the game, if the referee thinks he should play overtime, he's in his right to do that. It's more than the decision that comes in those in the last minute. I think the free kick is soft on Rajovic, and then the ball comes in from the corner. I haven't seen that part back, but from where I was, it did not even look like a corner. And then I've seen in other games when the ball goes out for a corner at that point, when you're already a good few minutes over time, the referee's blown. He decides not to blow up the corner, and then the most egregious of all the decisions, the corner comes in, and we've got to take some of the blame. We could absolutely defend it better, of course, but he's quite obviously used his arm to bring the ball down. It's so plain and obvious. I don't see how neither the linesman or the referee can see it.
And then he walks straight into the AFL Team of the Year. Of course, last night as well, just to rub salt into the wounds. I mean, we're laughing about it because ultimately there's nothing riding on it for Watford. There was no championship or playoff or relegation, but there could have been, couldn't there? You know, and decisions, refereeing. You've talked about it all year. It's really getting worse for you in your view in the AFL?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I have friends that support teams in League One and League Two, and they would say the same in their divisions. I think it is sort of a plague on English football. I mean, you see it in the Premier League. And my maybe unpopular point of view is that I actually think that VAR is a great tool. Unfortunately, the officials we have in this country aren't competent enough at using it to deploy it across the field. If we're using it properly, there's no reason VAR should be a hindrance on the game. But somehow in the Premier League, they make it that way. And I think that's the only reason we don't have it in the Championship.
Okay. All right, let's look ahead then. Three games left to go. You've got a juicy game against Hull this weekend, who you've already beaten at their place. Another team that are playing for something. How do you see this one going?
We won't make it easy for them by any means. I think we'll give it a good go. But I have been really impressed with Hull. Although they had sort of rocky points their season, I think the team has done a really good job. In January, they bolstered with some brilliant players that I think a lot expected some of them to go to the Leicesters and the Southamptons and the Leeds. But yeah, we will give it a go. I think we've looked so much better under Cleverley. but I think Hull will have just a bit too much, and they'll just want it so much. I think they will come away with a win.
Okay. Let's have a chat then about next year. There's a number of players out of contract at Watford, so I just want to get your views on all of those. First of all, you've got 3 loans at the moment, and Martin's, of course, our friend Dennis and Lewis. What's your view on those 3 in terms of should Watford be breaking the bank for any of them?
I would let Mateus Martins continue his career at Udinese. I think as much as he's had glimpses of real talent at points, he's not consistent enough for what we need. In the Championship, you need a set of players that deliver. You don't necessarily just need these talented players. You need players that are going to give a 7 out of 10 every week, and he's not that player at all. Jamal Lewis, he's probably been my biggest disappointment of a Watford player this season. I expected really good things. I know he'd sort of had downtime at Newcastle, but if we got anything close to the player he was at Norwich, we would have been laughing. But it's not come to that at all, and I think we absolutely won't activate that option to buy. Emmanuel Dennis is, in my opinion, one of the top wingers in this league if he stays fit. If we can get him on any kind of cut price or a loan again from Forest, I would absolutely take it.
I'll ask you about your goalkeeper in a second, but let's talk about Livermore and Ngakia first. Views on those 2? The contracts both end in June. They're both available on a free transfer. Should Watford offer them more?
Jake Livermore I'd absolutely bring back on another 1 year if he feels like he's good to carry on playing. Unless he plans on retiring himself, I think he was well good enough as a squad option this year. Put in some really strong performances. I think he was even really, through like a 1 month period, probably our best player at one point. So no complaints from me if he signs another deal. The rumour is that Jeremy Ngakia has actually signed a contract. They released the agent fees from the FA this week, and one of the agent fee transactions on the Watford list was a new contract for Jeremy Ngakia. I'm a little bewildered why they've done that, especially if the rumoured terms a 3-year deal.
Okay.
He's hardly played enough, let alone played well, in my opinion, to warrant a 3-year deal. I think perhaps a 1-year deal on a squad wage would have been all right as a backup right back, but that kind of deal was what you give your starting right back, and I don't agree with that.
Okay. All right, let's talk about Ben Hamer then, because the EFL Team of the Year was awarded last night. There were for me 4 goalkeepers which could have been up there. For me, Hamer is one of them. Now I hadn't realised he was out of contract. So undoubtedly, my question to you isn't should he get a new one, because ultimately that is a yes. But do you fear the vultures might be circling here?
Quite possibly, but the weird sort of thing is that Cleverley's actually opted for Backman recently, which I wonder if that is almost his decision. I wonder if he's been sort of maybe asked to play Backman a bit more with the fact that Hamer's potentially gone. I think Ben Hamer has been an excellent servant this year. I think he'd had literally 1 bad game in that away game at Millwall, and then was dropped for it, and I think that was really harsh. If it was me making the decision, like you say, he'd absolutely come back as a backup goalkeeper. But it would not surprise me if, especially maybe a newly promoted team, would opt to bring him in as someone that could be a backup for their young goalkeeper or potentially even start.
Yeah, because he's still young enough, isn't he? He's still got another 6-7 years in him. Okay. All right. And the number 1 position that Watford need to sign in the summer is?
Absolutely must be a striker. Must be a striker. I'm of the opinion that although the performances haven't been pretty, age is on Rajovic's side, and Bayo is not that bad that he doesn't have a place in the Championship team. But we need that number 1 striker, the guy that's going to start for you every week, barring injury, and the guy that gets you 15 goals. Because although Rajovic has developed a decent enough goal number, you'd say, with 11, but is just he's not the right fit for me. He just doesn't provide enough in the build-up to get us in the goal scoring positions. Sure, he can finish them, but yeah, we need that sort of talisman. We were very fortunate when our last sort of big stint in the Championship that we had Troy Deeney, a guy that scored 20 goals in a Championship season for 3 consecutive seasons. If we could get anything close to that, we'd be over the moon.
Okay. All right. Prepare yourself for next week's big question, because I'm asking you who's the manager should be next week. I'm going to let you just have another just think about Cleverley. But you've been enjoying this football, haven't you?
I absolutely have, and I think it's something that's quite overlooked in football is just having someone in that figurehead role that knows the club and that the fans can resonate with. Because Watford haven't had that person for a long time. And I think fans, therefore, are willing to give Tom Cleverley the time. As of now, I wouldn't be opposed to them giving him the job.
Doesn't fit the business model, though, does he?
Yeah, not on previous workings, but I mean, we've said it for season upon season. The best thing they could do is change their ways and try something else. And if Cleverley was that something else, we'd be fully behind them.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Aaron, for joining us this week. If you're a Watford fan, again, please drop us a like. We'd really like to get 100 likes on this Watford video before the season is out. Really appreciate it. Aaron is here every single week reviewing every single game, travels up and down the country so that I can sit and listen to how the game's gone without having to watch it myself, which obviously I really appreciate. So enjoy the whole game, and we will see you for the final 2 games of the season. It's been a long season for Watford fans.
It has. It's been a long and winding road with many bumps, but yeah, we're at the end of it, and I have, for the most part, enjoyed it.
Okay. All right. Cheers, Aaron, and thanks for joining us on Terrace Talk.